Trying to learn how to use the countdown. Lord have mercy. All right. Hello, everybody. Hey, I've got a few of you here because of the late link getting sent out and everything. I literally couldn't find where it, when I created the class title and everything, I couldn't find where it put the shareable link. There's a whole nother page that it was on that it's like the studio page for upcoming streams, which I didn't know existed. And so it posted it there instead of where I normally see it every week. So what I need to know is, can everybody see me and hear me? Can everybody see me and hear me? For those of you that are here, hey, Ron Bishop, Roger S., Keith Kessler, David, few of you have popped in. Appreciate that. And yeah, we need to, Lord of mercy. Let's see. All right. Yes, on both. Okay. So good. Okay. So you can see me. You can't hear me. Okay. I sent out the link for the gold members to join me live. I posted that on the YouTube where I always post it on the YouTube announcements, and we'll see if anybody pops in. I honestly don't know where they're going to show up when they do. It's a new stream. I love this new platform over StreamYard. Love it to death. But I only used it the one time this past Thursday. And of course, I haven't used it, since then. So it was almost like learning it all over again tonight. Created everything and all. And then I went over to my YouTube channel like I always do and went to look for the post so I could change it to members only and all that stuff. And it wasn't there. I was like, well, crap, where's it at? So I went back and deleted it, created it again. Still wasn't there. Refreshed, it still wasn't there. And I'm searching all over and literally just found it, just like when I posted on Facebook saying, hey guys, we're having a class, hang tight. Oh, it's been nerve-wracking. Okay, so here's what I want to do tonight. I want to simulate the creation of like describing what I would like as a graphic image, an image using AI, using an AI image generator such as Photor, like Photor.com, or I'm using Galaxy.ai. We'll try both and see which one gives us better results. And then the image that gets created, we're going to import into Vectric. We're going to create vectors. It's going to be a graphic image. So we're going to trace the image. And we're going to create vectors. And then we're going to create a piece of wall art that's going to be, you've seen it. You've seen them. I know you've seen them, where it's like individual panels. Let's say 3 panels. And then when the 3 panels are hanging on the wall, they're individual panels, 1, 2, 3, right? And, sometimes they're hanging even. Sometimes the middle one's slightly higher than the low one. Sometimes they're all at an angle. But anyway, there's 3 images or 3 panels. And when they're hanging on someone's wall, the 3 panels together create the full image. And so let's see here. If I were to type in panel wall art on Google, not YouTube, on Google, let's see here. Let's do this. 3 panel wall art. Trying to find like an example. Excuse me, Lord of mercy. So let me see if I can share my screen, which I can now. Let's share an entire screen. It'll be this one. And so, excuse me, I'm going to cough again. Excuse me. The open image in a new tab. Oh gosh, not that. So like, you know, it would create the 3 panels. We're going to be creating the 3 panels, and those 3 panels would, you know, create the, you know, the full picture, right? We're going to do that in a carving, right? We're going to carve 3 individual panels to create the one piece of wall art. But to get the subject for our, please forgive me, to get the subject for our wall art, we're going to use AI to help us out with that. So I'd like to take you through that process, and I'd like it to take you through that process and us make that happen. So I'm going to open up the Aspire software. Now, of course, this can be done in Desktop Pro or Aspire. I'm just using Aspire because right now it's the only program I have loaded on the new computer and everything. And again, if my guests that I invited, if they join, if they pop in, well, great, we'll see them. Let's see here. All right, wonderful. All right, now, this time I learned my lesson from last time. I'm sharing the entire window, so anything that pops up here, you will see. Before I was sharing just the program, and all the little pop-ups of, like, you know, the tile manager and all that wasn't shown. So now we should be able to see those, like if something pops up and stuff. And so in Google, we're going to use a program from AI. We're going to go to 2 different places, photor.com. I have an account with Photor. Let me log in for the first time. Give me just a second. Continue with email. What email is it? Let's move that over here just for a second. It's not that I don't want you all seeing my password. Let's see here. Okay. AI image generator. Now, I am probably going to end up eliminating Photor, just so you know. Photor, I have used in the past to create images, and it does a beautiful job. Love it to death. No, nothing wrong with it at all. But, and let me take something to drink, or I'm going to be coughing like that. Sorry, I apologize. I don't know if y'all remember a couple weeks back me telling you I developed a new cat allergy. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm dying or not, but cat allergy, and I got a little bit of a food allergy too. Never had allergies my whole life. All right. The Photor, I love it. It does a lot. There's a lot of different things in there. I think I pay $8 a month for just this, for Photor. And with Photor, if I close out of this, I can do AI image generation. I can edit photos, remove backgrounds. I can face swap faces and all. I can do all kinds of stuff with Photor. It has all kinds of, you know, image editing things and everything. And I can do with that $8 a month. I can do 500 images per month. That's called credits. So I can generate 500 images a month if I wanted to, right? And so that's pretty cool and everything. Well, I don't only just use Photor for creating images. I use all the AIs to help run my business and stuff like that. And one of those AI programs I use is called Galaxy AI. And with Galaxy AI, for $15 a month, I have over 1,996 different AI tools available to me. Chat GPT, uh, um, photo generation, code writing, voice cloner for voiceovers, video generation, translation, just everything, newsletters and emails and website, management and all that stuff, all bundled into one Galaxy.ai, one thing, $15 a month, which if I was paying for all these things individually, it'd be like $20 for $30 for ChatGPT and $8 for Photor and $19.99 for whatever and blah blah blah, and it would be hundreds of dollars a month. And I know because I had all those different accounts. Well, now I have everything all in one, and I have 15 million credits each month. And I don't know how many credits get used per image generation. I haven't quite figured. It's very small. It's super, super small. But I can create just about, there's no limitation on as far as what I was doing before. And within Galaxy AI, the program Galaxy AI, I have an image generator here. So I can use all these different AIs within one. I get access to all these AIs, which if you're not familiar with, there's Ideogram, there's Flux, there's DALL-E, Midjourney, Recrap, blah, blah, blah. There's so many thousands of AIs out there, right? And so I have all these AI models that I have access to through my Galaxy account. But I haven't generated an image with it yet for the purpose of using on the CNC. So I don't know if the results are as good as Photor or anything yet. Tonight's going to kind of be a little bit of a test of that. And we're going to try to create, something that we can create with wall art. We're going to make a piece of wall art from what we create. And I'm not saying go out and spend, set up a monthly account or anything like that. They have, free, AI tools and stuff out there. And if it was something you were just looking at creating photos and all, and you don't need all the other stuff, $8 a month isn't bad for photo generation and things like that. But I'm a one-man band, but I have AI employees, right? I have bots that I've built and trained to my business, and they help keep, things moving along, from bookkeeping to everything. So, and I'm learning. I don't know. I'm not an expert on it by any means. I'm learning a lot. I put out a lot of money for books and tutorials and training, and I'm self-teaching myself. So, we'll see how it goes. So far, so good. So tonight we're going to generate an image. We'll try Photor and we'll try Galaxy and see, which we'll use the similar descriptions and stuff. So starting here, basically, I am looking. I'm probably going to go with a 16 by 9 because I want this to be a scene over 3 panels, and the panels aren't going to be very big. Right, it's gonna be based on the picture now, right? I'm gonna divide the picture up into 3 panels. They could be 3 even panels. They could be 3, like one might be bigger than the other 2, whatever. We won't know that till we get it into Vectric, till we import the photo in Vectric and work with it and on create. It's gonna be a V carve, by the way, simple V carve. I'm not doing any 3D or anything yet. That's another class. But so a simple V carve, anyone can do it in Desktop Pro or Aspire. But if I go one by one, it's going to be a square image, right? It's going to be just square. It's going to be like, one size. If I go 16:9, that's an aspect ratio just like the video, you know, the 1920 by 1080, right? That's a 16:9 ratio. It's longer and narrower. So that's what I'm going to go with to create that scene. Now I don't have anything pre-planned as far as a scene. I'm literally going to be creating the description right now to hopefully generate an image that that I would like and everything. And give me 2 seconds here. Let me see here. Awesome. Now, everybody should still be with me. Wonderful. We're still sharing the window. Okay. The description. At first, I swear to you, when I was making this class idea and everything, the first image that popped in my head was Jack Sparrow, right? Johnny Depp, Jack Sparrow, the pirate, you know, and everything. I thought, oh, that would be a cool piece of wall art, right? That I don't know. I don't know why I'm telling you that, but that's the first thing that popped in my head. I want to kind of do a little bit of an art scenery. So like, you know, water, forest, trees with maybe an animal or something like a deer or something, just to create a scene, right? I didn't know, like Jack Sparrow would just be the person. Okay. So it would be like taking one of these photos here and splitting it up into 3 sections and all that, which is cool. They've done that. There's a model like that of a Native American, beautiful model that was created. I saw that floating around Facebook somewhere, but and it was turned into 3 panels. But maybe Jack Sparrow another day. But for right now, I want to create a scene. So let's start with the scene. Let me shut up and let me start typing. Okay, so we're going to do let's see here, a large majestic buck deer. I don't know if I say buck, if I have to put the word deer, but I'm trying to tell AI what I want. Standing in a field of tall, I don't know, grass or weeds. Let's just go, we'll go tall grass near a body of water. Now that's being kind of, body of water is being kind of generic. So let's do this. Near a lake with a tree line in the distant background. All right, so that's the image. Now I'm going to go back up here and say, create a black and white. I don't know why I capitalized like that, but anyway, a black and white graphic style image of a large majestic buck deer standing in the field. We want high resolution, and instead of a period, I want to see if maybe a semicolon. I don't know the proper punctuation. I'm gonna copy this, and I want to see if when I tell it to make it better, it'll rewrite my description for me, and I want to see what it does. But I'll copy it so I have the original. High resolution, right? High resolution. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. High resolution. Okay. Now I'm going to highlight this so I can copy it so I don't lose it. And I'm going to say, make this better, right? I'm going to let AI give me some choices on wording, right? So it gives me, you know, 4 choices. And so create a dramatic black and white graphic style image of a majestic buck deer poised regally in a field of tall swaying grass. Capture the scene with a shallow depth of field, emphasizing the buck in crisp detail while softly blurring the tranquil lake and distant tree line under a moody sky, right? Use cinematic lighting and all that. So, I mean, it really, on this description, it takes what I said and really emphasizes it. And it gives me 4 different options, right? And I can choose to stick with my text, or I can choose to use one of the options here, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this one and copy it and just hit X right here. I'm going to go with mine first, right? I'm going to go with mine first. And I'm going to generate 2 separate images. I can, you know, create as many as I want, but up to 4 at a time. So I'm going to generate the images, 2 of them. Give me a choice with my description. So this is going to be my description. And it used, to create those 2 images, it used 0.16 of my 15 million points available to me to generate those 2 images. So it's a speck of a, it's a little bit. Okay. All right. Now, let's click on this. So wonderful, great, beautiful picture, but I need this to be a V-carve. So it's got to be a different type of graphic. Instead of a black and white image, it's got to be a different type of graphic. So let's look at the, let me copy this again. Copy. Let's look at those alternatives, right? And I want to, up here, I want to say create a dramatic black and white vector graphic, vector we'll use the word vector and see what that does. And then I want to try a vector t-shirt graphic. Let's see what that does. So let's generate that. And again, this is using their wording. Let that generate. And while that's generating, I want to go back over here because when I created this image, right, I used the prompt that I used was a detailed black and white graphic style image on a white background of a female lioness and her cub laying in a bed of flowers, right? You know, with the lion's cubs, you know, being the main focus. So a detailed black and white graphic style image. And this is what I want. This is going to help me create vector images, right? That's what I want. We'll see, you know, what happens here. And so, this, I'm going to download this image right here. And I'm going to bring that into Vectric and I'm going to have Vectric trace it. I want to see what it looks like, right? I don't think this is vector enough. I don't think it's vector enough, but great pictures, man, beautiful pictures, right? So now I want to change one thing up here. Create a dramatic black and white T-shirt style vector graphic. Get rid of image, the word image. Get the word image out of there, right? Graphic. I think image was the keyword that was screwing it up. Let's find out. T-shirt, like a T-shirt print. That's what I'm, going for. So, a T-shirt print style vector graphic. Let's see what that does. But I downloaded that other image. I do want to trace that or try to trace that in Vectric and see what it does. Now, I'm going to let that generate, and I'm going to copy this whole thing here. And at the same time, I'm going to use that text to image. And I'm going to paste it here. I want to see what the difference is, the styles and all. On the styles, I'm going to go with that 16:9 option, 2 images. And the line art, I can choose line art. Line art, that's a good prompt word, line art. And let's generate over here as well while this is coming up. So this one is still not really giving me what I want. So I'm going to actually, that word line art instead of T-shirt, a black and white line art. Vector graphic. Now now we're talking. This, so I Photor is not the greatest picture, right? It could be a little bit better, but it's good enough for vectors and all. Let's take a look and see what happens here. And maybe I can, all right, let's download that one. I really like that one. We'll see what we can get out of it. And then here we'll download this one too. Okay, let's go to Vectric and let's see if any of these, we've downloaded 3 options now, and I could do this all night, right? I could just keep trying to change the wording and everything. And I think the wording definitely does need changing. It just, it's just one of those things. Let's create a new file. On this file, it's going to be a single-sided job. I'd like overall the 3 panels and everything, they're going to be, glued up panels and all. I'd like these to be 24 inches tall. And so I'd really love, we're going to go 24 inches tall. And I'm going to set a number right now for my width, but then I'm going to look at the golden ratio, right? 1.618 to give me this number. And how I can do that is I can use the math in these boxes. It's like little calculators. And I could take my 24 and I could multiply that by 1.618, which is the first, 3 up to 3 decimals of the golden ratio. And that gives me my width. And what this does is it creates a panel that's an area that's very pleasing to the eye. So if you ever look at architecture and, especially the, Roman architecture and everything and all and stuff, you'll see the golden ratio everywhere, right? On their columns and pillars and designs and things like that. It's very pleasing. And so it's a really nice aspect ratio between the length and the width. So I don't need to be all, I'm just going to go 38 instead of like 38 point, right? So 38. And then I can break this up into 3 different panels. So it's going to be 3/4 inch thick. We'll start, it doesn't matter where you start. I'll start in the bottom left corner. We'll click OK. Now, this is going to be, it's going to be one panel. I'll glue up one panel. But when it's all said and done, when it cuts out and everything, I'm going to do some decorative cutout, cutout profile all the way through. It's going to cut all the way through. And so we could, once we have the design laid out, we could very easily decide how we're dividing it up and then put it on 3 separate panels. Like if we wanted to do 3 separate glue ups because maybe our machine couldn't hold a full 38-inch panel or something like that, right? Whatever you want to do, but just follow, it's the same process. So here we're going to import, I'm going to import all 3 images, and we may go back and try a different one and all that, but let's import these images and let's see which one traces well for us, right? We also, just so you know, we also do have photo sketch carve, right? But that doesn't create graphics for me. I could carve this. I could literally import any one of those photos and create a carving of it. But I need the vectors because I need to be able to cut and eliminate part of those vectors to create the 3 individual panels, right? So I need the vectors, but the photo sketch carve creates a toolpath, but not the vectors. So let's start off with the first image that was generated, which was this image here. And let's see how Vectric, if I tell Vectric to trace it, how it traces. So let's go to the trace bitmap. I'm going to convert it to a true black and white to get rid of any shades of gray. And I'm going to turn the fading off here. Now I'm going to slide this back to see if it will allow me to pick up any detail. And for the most part, because of the way the image is, it will let me pick up some detail, but if I go too far, then I start to lose it because it's not really a line art type thing. So I'm going to kind of eliminate a little bit of the sky. I'm going to go right here, 29 here. I'm going to turn up my noise filter a good bit, like 6 or 7. And I'm going to preview this image. I'm going to click apply and close. And what I'm going to do with this is I can see that I don't have really good definition on the antlers and everything. All this stuff would be trash, right? It's stuff. So to show you how I clean it up, turn this off, ungroup the image. All the vectors are grouped together. So I'm going to hit ungroup. And then I would go in and eliminate all of this background vectors. Now, some of these vectors are tied into the antlers, some of them are not, blah, blah, blah. So right away, I don't have a really, this didn't create a great image at all. But let me just see. I always like to just at least run one little test. It's not a good image on the antlers at all. Not great at all. So I'll set a flat depth of 1/8 of an inch. We'll remove the 1/2 inch tool, 1/4 inch, or the 1/8 inch tool. We'll just use a 1/4 inch in a 60-degree V-bit. Let's just calculate it and see what it does. I can tell you right now, I don't want to use this image. It doesn't, it's not going to look good for what I want. I'm going to continue anyway. But I am always surprised how things look when they are carved and painted, right? So let's preview the visible toolpath. And let's change the color to black. Isn't that crazy? It's in itself not a bad result. I mean, of course I would spend some time, right, and clean up the antlers, get rid of that piece, all the little piece of material, but I would go in and redraw the antlers to get the shape out here, you know, for those two. Freehand draw those in. But for the most part, not bad at all. Imagine this in the, you know, 3 separate panels and everything. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So might be able to work with that. Let's look at the other one. So don't ever let the vectors fool you, man. You know, when it traces and everything, it's all about the result, right? Just can't ever let it surprise you. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's try the next one. Import the graphic. We're going to go with the other graphic image, this one. And so once again, trace, turn off the fading so we can see it. This one for me has better detail and everything in there. The antlers, you know, they're going to have pretty decent detail. Now, if I slide this forward to try to get the, you know, the lines of the antlers, I'm really blanking out the sky and everything. And I'm blanking out all this black area on the antlers here. Not a problem. I mean, I can trace this multiple times to get all the vectors that I want and eliminate what I don't. But the more I go here, it's picking up. Now, the more I back off, let's back off the sky. And when I'm backing this off, what I don't want to go too far because I don't want to lose detail in the back and in the head, right? And I start picking up more things that I don't want here. So imagine when we bring this in that when it's painted black, what you see here, all the black you see here is what is going to be black when you paint it and carve it, right? So I'm going to go, this is 42. Now 42 gives me a nice solid black area here. I got the detail of the grass. That'll be my wood. And there's some, you know, there's going to be some vectors in there. This is going to be a long project to carve, but I'll get that detail when it's painted and all. The sky is fine. I'll have that clear black background, you know, that's kind of off to the distance really and all. Not a whole lot of trees or anything like that. It's just kind of like a, you know, because the reason why there's no trees and stuff like that there is because the wording that we use said the deer being the main focus and in focus while the background, you know, is not, you know, it wasn't the primary focal point. So on this one, turn the noise filter up. Let's go to 4, preview, apply and close. Turn that image off. And again, we're going to size it up to our board here. And I'd end up sizing it all the way, but for right now, I don't know what it's going to, if we're going to use it or not, but we're going to V-carve toolpath. Same settings, 1/8 inch flat depth, 1/4 inch end mill, 60-degree V-bit, calculate. The offset option is good there. All right, now this one has 19 open vectors. They're being ignored, and that's fine. We'll go on that, and it's probably somewhere in these, here. And heck, select all open vectors, unless it's a vital vector, like if it's the deer's back that isn't closed or something, and I'm not getting any detail in his back because the vector was open and it didn't create it, then I'm going to go find and fix, right? So I can see right now from this carving and all, I would like to, it's going to be less sanding for me and cleanup if I raster with the grain, but I also have to imagine my panels, right? With my panel that I glue up, is my grain running this way or this way, kind of thing. And it just really depends on how it's glued up. But my grain most likely is going to be running left to right. So it's kind of continuous over the 3 panels. And so if I go round and round and round and round, and again, we haven't divided this up yet, right? But if I go round and round and everything, then I'll get those tool marks. Sometimes it'll be clear, sometimes it'll be tool marks, depending on if I'm using an upcut or a downcut. Downcut is notorious for tool marks. So I want to reopen that and do it as a raster. A raster. Okay. Now, where that wouldn't make sense is where that wouldn't make sense is the what am I trying to say? So it's kind of one of those give and takes. I'd have to, it's kind of that sacrifice. But I think for the most part, if we looked at the toolpath when it's created, if we looked and zoomed in, it's doing the round and round in those small areas, but in the large areas, it's rastering. So it's doing exactly right. So let's preview this one. Yeah. Now on this one, great. I'm happy with that. I would be satisfied with that as a carving and all. What I probably would do is come in here on the image, and I would trace and kind of get a little bit better outline on the antlers, really get those defined. And that's as simple as using the freehand draw tool in here with the image. So first thing we'd have to do is let me hit undo to resize this down, right? And on here, looking at the vectors, right? So it's creating these shadows in here, and that's great and all that, but it really wasn't getting that outline, and everything. And so what I would have to do is you got to make that choice as to, what's happening here. So if we look at the antler and everything, this part of the antler is tied into this background, right? And up here, this part of the antler is tied into this background. And so it really didn't create kind of these, peaks and everything. And so if we were to trace and draw those outlines and everything, we really need to be able to close the vector, right? So it, we'd have to decide, excuse me, we'd have to decide how to connect those ends and all. And the ideal tool for this is the freehand draw tool. Now notice, as soon as I clicked on that tool, notice everything faded out. So let's close this. And how you deal with that is you select the image, you right click on it and go to Appearance. And on Appearance, you turn the fading off. And this, no matter if you're clicked on the image or not, it stays that highlighted dark, image where you can see all the detail, whether you're on or not. So now I can go to the freehand tool and it doesn't fade out. And on the freehand tool, basically here, it's highlighting this kind of this black area and stuff. And it's, excuse me, it's kind of a matter of, I want to get this detail, so I'm probably going to utilize the clouds that are right here to kind of fill in that area and stuff. And so how I would do that is we'll create a little gap right here. So let's do, and I'm just using my mouse. Now, to connect the start point and the end point, going to hold down the Control key. When I let go of my mouse, and I, let me see here. Control, when you're over the start point and the end point, to extend those together. So I missed it by a mile. So I'm going to go to Node Editing, pull this over to there, and create that vector. What that'll do is it'll help define this side and everything of the antler. I'm going to do the same thing here and here. So with that trace tool, and then we'll look at the line art style image and see how. Now, let's see if that connected. That connected. All right, I got to go into Node Editing really quickly. I kind of overshot this a little bit. Now here, that little jumble and everything, I'm going to delete that point. Pull that down a bit. And again, not trying to get like be too anal or perfect with it, but just, close, right? So I can kind of capture that shape. On the tips up here, because I'd like to be able to get these points and everything in here, the thinking about, how it's going to connect or carve. If I start a line, here, and I come around, and let's say I skip this cloud, I just come down to here. I've got to be able to kind of, I have to be able to kind of connect this in to where there's a, there's a start and an end, right? That, and to that vector. And the to really figure that out, this vector right here, that line would be eliminated. My point of my antler would connect to the top part of it, and then this bottom part would actually come up and connect to the bottom part of it. And where it's connected here, this would get removed, this inside black area, or it would get redrawn just by itself, and my points would continue around and around, and it would connect over here. So that would be the start of this line, which goes around, and then the end, and all of that at some point, someplace, all that connects all the way back to each other. Otherwise, it would be an open vector. Right now, if I right click on this image and ask it to select all open vectors, of course, the one I drew is open. I got to close it. But the 19 open vectors that it was identifying, it's not going to identify them because everything is grouped. So I'm going to ungroup it. Then I'm going to have it select all open. Oops, no duplicates. That was duplicates, not open. Select all open. And it's these, the open vectors are going to be these little blades of lines right here, right? So they are insignificant. And they're going to be spread throughout the grass here. And here's some overlaps. We'll get rid of those too. But it's going to be spread throughout the grass. So right now, immediately, I know that they're insignificant. So I'm going to come and turn this one off. And I'm just going to hit delete on the keyboard to get rid of all those open vectors. Now I only have one, which is this one. And if I go to the join tool, I can just hit join and it'll close it. So now I should have no open vectors in the design. So that's a good thing. Let me get the outline right here on the inside here just for a moment. I'll hold that control key down. Now, even though I landed on that one, I don't know if it closed or not. No, it was open. Yep. Missed it by a mile. Let's go here. Node editing. Pull that over there. Okay. Now, I'm actually going to get rid of these squares right here. They're kind of trash. All the square vectors are trash. All right. Now, I'm not going to do the tips right this minute and all, but I want to see what it's done for me just creating these three vectors, what that's actually done for me. So I'm going to select all this. Well, first of all, I'm going to just reopen this toolpath. I'm going to select all that and hit calculate. I can tell you what's going to happen is there, and I'll have a little bit more definition, but I'm not going to still have the points or anything. They're going to be missing still. So, well, first of all, goofy me. Hold on a second. Let's size this up. All right, now let's calculate it. Give that a second. We're gonna trace that third photo. That's the line style art, and while that is with one of these higher definition, but I do want to in Photor create a black and white line art. I'm going to use the word line art style vector graphic of a majestic buck deer poised regally in a field of tall swaying grass, in a field of grass. Capture the scene with a shallow depth of field, emphasizing the buck in crisp detail while softly blurring the tranquil lake and the distant tree line and the moody sky. Now I'm actually going to get rid of all of that. Use a cinematic lighting to create a striking shadows and highlights, enhancing the sense of grandeur and solitude. Ensure the composition draws the eye toward the deer, illustrating the peace coexistence of wildlife and nature in high resolution. Now that's fine. That's all just fill words, right? You know, and everything. And let's see what we get something a little bit different. Yeah, it's too line arty. So let's click on all. High detail. Getting rid of the word line art, getting rid of the line art choice over here. On the styles, I'm going to graphic, concept art, anime, logo, illustration. So we'll go illustration, digital art, T printing. Let's try that. Generate. Let's see what we have here. Let's go back to Vectric. All right. Reset the preview and preview the visible toolpath. Now in this, the only thing that's changed is those three areas in that one antler, right? So those three areas here, right? And so again, looking at this, I'd really want to define, you know, those antlers and everything. And it needs to, they just need to close with one another. And right now, it's going to be a matter of the trace. So I'm going to come over here and well, the whole deer just changed. Hold on a second. I want to set him aside for a minute. Let me import this other one really quickly. This one is cartoonish, not what I'm going for, but the nevertheless, let's turn the fading off. I'm actually going to turn this up to 75. I'm going to bring this up to get more detail. Preview, apply, close. Select all this and calculate. Again, those open vectors going to be insignificant. They're going to be somewhere in the clouds or the grass. We're moving forward, guys. I'm just showing you different, options and all. I really like the images all, but let's see. It might look completely different when we carve and paint this, right? As far as the detail versus everything. Let's get it filled in with some color and everything. And so for what it is, not bad, right? Not bad. I probably would take off the inside line of the clouds, possibly. And when I say the inside line, there's two lines, the bits carving in between those. I'd probably, on these, I'd probably go through and take out the, the ones that have inside clouds and all, so that they actually carve dark, where it carves fully, like the cloud and all. But all in all, not bad. It's always, that type of graphic is always going to have, good detail and everything. It's not that realism / graphic art we're shooting for. It's more cartoonish / graphic art, but still good enough. So this one would be ready to just start paneling, wouldn't have to do anything with it. So let's go look back at photo real quick and see what it made for us. Oh, now we're kind of getting somewhere. Hold on. I'm liking that image a lot. Hold on. I like that graphic. I'm going to move this one off to the side. Going to import. Still got this one over here, we can work with, but this one here, let's get it sized up. Trace on the trace bitmap. Turn the fading off. Gonna see that all the black is where it's going to be painted, right? That's where it's going to get carved, all the black, right? So the antlers got a lot of black in it and all that'll get carved pretty well. Let's zoom in. The birds I'm not, too impressed with, but if I bring this back, right? If I bring this back to here, and I'm looking at the detail versus the 75 I like to go to in the detail. It's kind of a fine line. I want a little bit of lightness. I want some wood in the deer's face and neck and body, right? So let me look at 75 again. The trees, the birds, I'll get rid of the trash of the birds. Might keep a couple, but ones on the right are gone. Let's go back to 50. Yep, 50. So I'm not going to go all the way to 75. I'm going to go 50 So I have a little bit of lightness in the neck and stuff. So default corner fit, going to turn the noise filter up to a 4, hard 4. There we go. Preview, apply and close. Come in here, turn the image off. Again, don't let those vectors fool you the way they get drawn and stuff. In here, I'm going to ungroup the vectors, and I'm going to get rid of these birds that are, that weren't birds, that didn't really fill out. Delete that crap. If I want to add birds in there, I might want to add an eagle soaring or something. I'll go find another graphic or make another graphic of an eagle soaring and add that to it, kind of thing, right? But anything that doesn't, I'm going to keep these two, not the best looking shapes in the world, but they kind of give the illusion of a bird in the back. But all this other stuff is crap, trash, right? So I'm going to keep the little specks here, but right there in between his antlers, that's going to be gone. That's going to be, and right up here, this figure 8, get rid of that. Get rid of those figure 8s there. Get rid of the square pixel there. All the square pixels I would go through and get rid of. Now that I could have eliminated that a lot by turning up the noise filter from 4 to, 5 or 6. But okay, if the vector has some shape to it, then I'll keep it. If it's square, normally I'll go through and delete all the squares because they're just trash. All right, so, and they're insignificant. Okay, so I'm going to keep that as that. Looking at this, kind of imagining my panels and things like that, there's going to be a border around each panel is going to have, it's kind of like a frame border and stuff. We'll draw those out and we'll probably scale this to where it, best fits and because there's going to be that divide, right? There's going to be that, you're going to be cutting away some of the vectors and stuff. You'll see that in the next step. All right, let's look at this one. So V-carve toolpath, select it all, calculate. Again, 1/8 inch flat depth. Want a nice stuff. Doesn't need to be very deep. The detail is going to framing and all that stuff, and we're going to hit calculate. Ooh, sorry about that. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen. My mouse went nuts. All right, y'all. That I saw. Oh, nobody. All right, 7 open vectors again, probably in the grass and all that stuff. We'll go through and eliminate them after we get everything done. We'll clean up our mess in there. We'll clean them up. Now, this style graphic, again, coming back here, this style graphic, where's that? It's kind of like that dividing line between high resolution image and that black and white line art. It's that mesh right in the middle. That's going to be slick. Now, of course, we don't have the vector of like the sunrise and the distance and all that stuff. We could draw it in if we wanted to and everything, but don't want to. So that versus this type of image and everything, great image, workable, right? We can make that work. We already saw that in the proof, but got a little bit of work to do on the antlers to get them to really show up. And it could be just the tracing. We could slide the slide bar over a little bit more and get more detail in the antlers. So it could be just that. And then we'd have to eliminate, some of the sky. We might be able to reword this to say everything it says, but get rid of the make it like a clear sky instead of a cloudy sky, you know, and that might help quite a bit with getting the detail on here. So if we close this where it says create a dramatic black and white, we'll do that same thing that we did here. We'll get over there. We'll get rid of the word dramatic. Vector graphic of a majestic buck deer poised regally in a field of tall. I'll leave the swaying grass. Capture the scene with a shallow depth of field, getting rid of that. Softly blurring the lake and the tree line and the moody sky, right? So I could get rid of all this, or I could get rid of the word moody sky, right? We'll just get rid of all this. And then we'll have it generate those images while we're working on this one. All right, let's reset the preview and preview the visible toolpath. I really like this one. I can tell already it's going to be a nice carving when it's painted. Add that color and everything. Yeah. Yep. That bird I'd probably eliminate. I might redraw that, or, you know, that shape, duplicate it here. This bird looks like he's just funky. I might take this one and duplicate it. Let's do that real quick. Let's take this one. Okay, let's go in here really quickly. Calculate. And again, you could probably draw duck flying in the background or something, you know, off the lake or something like that. It could be, you know, whatever you want. And so let that calculate. We kind of went back to that black and white photo. More so than the graphic style. And again, these could carve. They're just a little bit trickier. All right, let's go back here. All right, that can just be simple rectangles. There don't have to be anything fancy and all that. If you want molding style design, like if you do have Vectric Aspire or something, and you want to create like frame type panels, you can do that. If you don't have Vectric Aspire, you can still do that, but you can, but you would utilize like the molding toolpath. Excuse me. The molding toolpath, which is this guy right here, right? So you could create, you know, kind of a molding and everything. We'll see how it all goes forward and everything. All right, let's go in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check off both of these toolpaths, and I'm going to go to solid view. Solid view, instead of showing me the individual lines and the arrows, like the direction the bit's going, it's just going to show me all the areas it gets carved, right? So in solid view, I can kind of, I got the toolpath checked, and I'm in solid view, and I can just see all the areas. These are basically the areas that are going to get painted black, right? You know, they're the areas that get carved and get painted black. All right, so with this, we're going to go back into full view so we can see our board. And I actually didn't see anybody pop up in the chat. Are y'all still with me? Am I all alone here? Let me know. I didn't see anybody say, hey, I'm here. Might have lost y'all. I could be talking to nobody right now. Let me know. Because nobody answered that call for the, let me know you're here. I hope I'm still streaming. Still there. All right. We got a Roger. Thanks, Roger. All right. Just want to make sure. Okay. For right now, I'm going to get rid of this one tracing here. All right. So let me close a few things. Let's whoa. All right, bear with me a second. Let me drag to move. Ah! Quit that now. I was trying to do a picture in picture so y'all can see me. All right, there we go. Here. All right. We got Linda and Keith and all that. All right, everybody's still here. Good. I'm seeing you now. I'm seeing everybody. We're all just figments of your imagination, Rob says. Probably so. All right, let's go. Let's get back into full view here. And what we're gonna do is now we're gonna kind of figure out, our panels. Like, imagine, let's say living room wall art over the back of a couch, on a wall, kind of on that empty wall, or it could be, just whatever. We could be, however we want. This particular image right now is 24 inches tall, 38 inches wide, right, as a whole. And so when it comes to the division of these three, sometimes I like even, sometimes I like, where one's wider than the other. It really depends on the design and what's getting cut off and all that stuff. So let's do an even division, okay, over 3 panels. See what that looks like, and then we'll adjust accordingly. So here's how we're going to do that, okay? So right now, the bottom left corner is going to be on the anchor point, the anchor of this rectangle I'm about to draw. Instead of the center, I want the bottom left corner at 0, 0, that's where my job is right there. So I want 0, 0. And for right now, square corners, okay, we'll do all the little decorative stuff in just a minute. Square corners, and I'm going to take my x-axis and I'm going to divide that by 3. So it gives me my 38 inches divided by 3. Okay. And the height I'm going to just make it the same height as my y-axis. So y equals, okay, full size. Now, I'm superstitious, so I'm going to round this bad boy up to 0.667. Right, there we go. And we're going to click create. And what that's going to do is it's going to create just one, because I'm drawing just one rectangle. Okay. And then I don't know why it's, oh, it thinks I was trying to click plate template. And then all I'm going to do is double click on this vector. I'm going to move it holding the control key. So I'm actually moving a copy. So I want to put the vector in transform mode. And I don't know if my battery on my mouse is dying. Let me see it. Do I have, are these AA or AAA? Hold on a second. They are AA. Brand new. Okay. So I'm going to move this. I'm going to hold the control key down. Let me double click on it. By the way, stopping right now just for a moment, I'm going to hit save just in case, right? I haven't saved anything in this design. So file, save as. Let's take just a minute to do that. This is going to be our panel wall art underscore deer scene. And I don't know why I have an underscore, but that's okay. All right, we're going to hit save. Normally, I would underscore between each word, no spaces, that kind of thing. Let that save real quick. Wonderful. All right, so now I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to drag that vector. And I have smart snapping and geometry snapping on, so I'm going to snap it right to that first one. I'm going to continue to hold that control key down and drag it again. And snap it to that third one. Okay, so now I have three rectangles, right? Kind of that three, you know, those three panels, if you will. Now, remember now, these are just the, think of them the outside. Now, imagine, if you will, right? I've got this panel, and when it gets carved, it's going to look like three individual frames or three individual panels, you know, that are carved or detailed and everything. It doesn't necessarily have to have that frame style, right? It could be just three panels, but saw curve, right? I have a saw curve, or I have a router bit curve, you know, because it's going to cut out, right? It could be an 1/8 inch saw curve. It could be an 1/8 inch end mill. It could be, you know, it could be a 1/4 inch, right? We got to account for that. So right now, my three panels are the size of if there was no kerf, you know, for the cut, right? So we got to account for that. And then anything in between goes away. Okay. So now I could have accounted for that when I did the, when I created the rectangle and made it, you know, X divided by 3. I could have said X divided by 3. And then when I got that answer, I could have come in and said, all right, from 1, if I'm going to use a 1/8 inch end mill, it's a 1/16 of an inch from each. It's cutting right in the middle, right? So I'm going to be removing a 1/16 of an inch of material from this one and a 1/16 of an inch of material from that one. If I was using a 1/4 inch bit, it'd be an 1/8 of an 1/8, that kind of thing, right? Now, This is a 3/4 inch panel. I do have an 1/8 inch end mill that has a 1 inch cutting flute, 1/4 inch shank, 1 inch cutting flute. It's called an extra long speed tool. And so I'm going to minimize my kerf, just like if I was, running this through my table saw, which I could do. I could carve this whole panel, take it over to the table saw and cut in 3 sections and be done with it. That kind of thing, right? But I'm going to do it all on the table. And so we're going to account for the router bit that we're using. And then we'll decide how much is there going to be a border. Like, like when we create this, is there going to be some kind of border on our frame? Is it going to be just a smooth panel with this carving? And when we're looking at, let's go back really quickly and let's look at in Google, right? If we look at CNC carved wall art panels, wall art picture panels. Let's do picture panels. Picture panels. Let's see if it gives us what I'm thinking and what I'm not thinking and what I'm. Yeah. So imagine, if you will, now these are just trees, right? But this gives you the idea of what I'm talking about. So when we have these 3 panels, they're not going to hang on the wall like touching each other. There's going to be that space. It's that illusion, right? Over those 3 panels, we have the whole scene and everything, but it's going to be 3 separate panels hanging on the wall. Now these panels can hang across, of course, or, depending on what it is, one could be bigger than the other 2, all kinds of things. So like someone could have on this one, right, on this particular image that you see here in Google, they could have, because the tree has that rounded cap and all, this frame could have actually been shorter at the top and the bottom on the sides. So the big one in the middle would have been taller and the 2 would have been shorter, right? Just to give it a little bit of definition, for your wall art. They didn't have to all be the same size going across, because there was room. There's room that frame could have been smaller on the outside. So you think about, aesthetically, what looks good, what would appeal to most or many, kind of thing. And in the wall art, the graphics or the carving and all, we're using a scene type carving, but I mean, it could be really anything, right? So the panels, could be ornate details. It could be random patterns. Now there's no consistency there from one image to the other. If we were to look at let me see here, CNC carved 3-panel portrait. No, what would be the it wouldn't be portrait. That's trying to find. I'm trying to find most of the wall art, on these. Let's see here. 3-panel landscape scene. Let's see here. Did anybody divide a landscape scene up into 3 panels? No, come on. You're killing me, dude. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. We're getting somewhere now. Okay. So let's look at this mountain scene. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. Let's look at this mountain scene. Let's pick one that that you guys can all see. Okay. So something like this, right? So now we have this continuous scene broken up into 3 panels. The panels in this case, that have kind of that frame and everything. This is layered, right? You could do all that. We're not doing that tonight. We're just talking about the concept of just doing a simple V carve and a 3-panel art and all that stuff. But this is very cool where it's different colors of wood and contrast and stuff like that. But the scene, you think about, our frame, right? We got to think about our frame and all that stuff because we're cutting this panel that's going to have a kind of a frame around it. We're losing that much of the scene. So is it going to be something that takes away where you really don't know what you're looking at? You got to be just mindful of how your division is going to be. All right. So let's go back. What about to do a panel? Yes, you can do 3D model scenes. So there's a beautiful wall art 3D model scene, wall art CNC card 3D panel landscape scene. Let me see here. There is I wish I could that Native American one, but so any of those can be turned into that that 3-panel wall art. And I don't know, let's see here, wall art 3D panels. Yeah. Well, you get the idea. But yes, you could do it, and you could do it as 3D as well too. All right. So now, what I need to do is we got to account for the kerf, the saw kerf on these. And so, give me just a second, ladies and gentlemen. I have I have a misbehaving child. Did I tell you all about my new dog, Laney? Well, I kept hearing I kept hearing a box rustle, and her new vacuum, her new grooming kit and dryer, hair dryer, and all that stuff just came in today. And so the package box, she decided that's her new chew toy, and I heard it. She's not allowed to chew on stuff, but she got caught. All right, so let's get rid of the 2 vectors. We'll recopy them over once we have the right size and everything. Let's go here, delete that one. Actually, I'm an idiot. I don't need to delete them. Watch this. Undo. Put that back. I'm a goofball. All right. So I do need to resize it, right? So when I go to the size tool, I'm going to select instead of the center to where with the center anchor point chosen on the size tool, if I resize it, it takes both sides and brings them into the center, right? Like that. But if I choose one of the left nodes here, like because this is my left side, it's going to keep this one right anchored right here, and it's going to pull that right side over by however much I resize, right? So my height is going to stay the same, so I'm going to unlink this. And here I'm going to subtract that 1/16 of an inch. 0.0625 and hit equals. And when I click apply, it's going to pull that vector over to that anchor point. So you can see that where it pulled that over. Let me zoom in a little bit more so where it pulled that over, right? Now, on this one, the middle vector, I'm going to center this because I want it to pull both sides, right? Now, in this case, if I subtract it by a 1/16, it's gonna do, you know, a 32nd and a 32nd, right? To undersize it by that 1/16 of an inch. So I really need to, and I need it to be 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 and 1/16, right? So this is going to be anchored, and we're going to subtract 0.125 and hit equals and apply. Now, if I did that right, and if all is right with the world, we're going to be just a little over 1/8 of an inch because remember, I rounded up that 0.666667. I rounded it up to 0.667. But if I were to measure horizontally from this vector to this vector, I should be close to somewhere around 1/8 of an inch, you know, 0.127, 0.1257. Yeah, in that case. And that's because of that. The reason why it's not 125 is because of that point, that 38 point, or that 12.666667 that it was. And I said I was superstitious, so I rounded it up to 0.667. That's that little difference. And that's fine. Good enough. My 1/8 inch bit can fit in there and cut that. We're good. All right. So now we got one more panel on the other side. Got to go. Got a little piece of trash right there that I want to get rid of. All right. So on this panel, on the right, when I size it, my anchor needs to be the right because I need to pull the left over to the anchor, right? So again, I'm subtracting just a 1/16 of an inch minus 0.0625. It equals, and then apply to pull that over to the right. Anchor, I'm keeping that right side anchored where it is, moving the left to size. When it's centered, it's moving both sides in towards that center, keeping that center anchored, left moving over, you know. So anchor is important. Okay. So now All that did was give me my 3 separate panels. Now I need to get rid of the vectors in between them, right? And but I'm not done yet. Okay, I have to decide right here and right now, is this going to be are my panels going to have a frame around them? And if so, is it, am I carving the board to emulate a frame around it? Am I actually going to build a frame around the panel? Like when it's done carving, taking it over to the workbench and literally putting it in a wooden frame, maybe of contrasting color or something. So am I physically building a frame around each of the panels, or am I simply doing the carving to where when it's all carved and everything, the uncarved area emulates a frame, right? So it's kind of, those are things that you have to decide on what you're doing. If I was building a frame around it, building a frame edge around it, and everything, like a small, just a nice little detail frame, mitered and all that, then I don't have to do anything more than just get rid of the vectors and close them off where I am right now, carve and cut the panels, profile cut them, boom, boom. But if I'm emulating a frame in the carving, then I need to do that now. So here, I'm going to select all 3 of these panels, and I'm going to offset them inward. Let's do that again. Y'all still with me? Good. Okay, we're going to offset those inward. And now I'm thinking about like how wide my frame's going to be. Now, I personally, if we take a peek back at, the things that we were looking at, if we go back up here for a minute and we hit the back button just for a second, one more time, and we look back at this, like this scene here, I'm going to go open image in a new tab so we can kind of see it a little bit bigger. If I zoom in here, notice the frame. I wish I could go in just a little bit further, but that's okay. It's literally, again, it's a simple mitered frame, probably about 1 inch wide boards, 1/4 inch thick, cut, turned up on their side, mitered, and made a frame, right? So that frame right here is probably only about 1/4 inch wide, right? So that the smaller my frame is, my border and all that, the less detail I lose. If my frame is too big, I lose detail of the body of the deer, or the head of the deer, the antlers, or the whatever. Is my frame going to take away too much from the scene that I won't know what it is? Like if it was a person's head, like let's say it was Jack Sparrow, right? The pirate. And I just had this whole panel. I cut his head into 3 even sections. And now I'm removing all the vectors to simulate what's like a frame. Well, what if one of those frames went right through his eye, or the side of his face, or whatever the case may be, and then my frame, instead of being like a thin frame, like 1/4 inch, I have it like a 1/2 inch or a 1 inch frame. Now a big chunk of the face is missing, right? And so when it's actually hanging on there, am I going to be able to look at that wall art and say, oh, that's Jack Sparrow? Yeah, there's his eyes, his nose, his mouth. Or did I just remove some key vital points of the graphic? And if it's something like this with the mountain scene, it's not that big of a deal. There's no real defining detail that if a little bit of it gets removed, it's going to destroy the whole illusion, right? and all that. So we got to figure that out and all that stuff. So what I think is I'm going to go with a smaller frame. Looking at where my frame falls, it couldn't fall in a better place. The major part of the scene, the middle panel, is my deer. His ass end, his hind end, is all that's in that panel over there. So even if I took away a slightly wider frame and everything, it's not going to hurt at all. If I, take away some of the trees and the grass over here, not going to hurt the scene at all. That kind of thing. Now, when I do take away, I am going to lose this bird over here. So if I wanted to have that bird, I would move that vector back up into here, right? So it's still in there, not getting eliminated, whatever the case would be. So this image, good to go with, what we're going to create. Now, very important. We're going to be creating two vectors. One is going to be our frame, and the other, we're going to offset a few thousandths of an inch from that to make a second vector. It's going to be our trimming boundary that we're going to trim so it closes off all those vectors that we're about to cut open. You'll see in just a second. So here I want to go inward, and when I offset inward, it's going to inward offset that distance all the way around. So I'm actually going to go 3/8. So I'm going to go inward 0.375. And I want it to create sharp corners. Okay. I do not want it to delete the original. I just want it to select the new when it creates those. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take just a quick second and let me do it now before I forget. I'm going to move this over into here just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go back and select those vectors again. I should have waited on moving that until I was done with my offsets, but I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I got to get, so now I got to make the trimming vector. I don't want to trim right up to this line. I don't want my vectors to be part of this line. I want to have a little bit of off the line. And so, because if I use this vector right here as my trimming vector, then it's going to create an overlap. I don't want overlaps. I don't want to deal with overlaps and all that stuff. So we're going to offset inward again, just a few thousandths of an inch, 0.02, 20 thousandths of an inch. Offset. Make sure that it selects new. Now that's going to be my trim vectors. So everything in between these vectors is getting removed. Okay. So if I do this right, it should just be one click and it'll do it all for me, kind of thing. So what I need to do, close the tool, the offset tool. I've got the 3 trim vectors selected. I'm going to hold down the shift key. Oh, come on now. I don't know, something going goofy with my computer now. I got to figure out what it is. It's acting goofy. It shouldn't. I should be streaming beautifully. All right. Okay. So we're going to hold down the shift key. Now we're selecting our entire design. Okay. Now we're going to the trim tool. It looks like a barber pole or a candy cane, however you want to describe it, but it's that trim tool. And we're going to clear inside the boundary. No, we're clearing on the outside of the boundary. Everything that's outside of our 3 selected vectors, which we have to deselect and reselect, they got to be last, right? So everything outside of the boundary, that is what we want to get rid of, everything on the outside of the boundary. Now, for the software to treat these inner vectors like a boundary, they have to be selected last, right? Well, I can't select them individually and all 3 of them be last. Only one of the 3 are going to be the last selection unless I group them together. So what I should have done before I selected the entire scene is the 3 most inner vectors that I created. Let me zoom in and reselect them because I'm a goofball. And we also have to recalculate the toolpath and all that stuff, of course, because, we got to come in here, reselect our inside vector, that little 20,007-inch offset. Hold the shift key down. Make sure that when we're selecting, we are selecting that inside, that little inside vector. Hold the shift key down. Okay. When they're selected, we're going to group them together. I'm just going to hit the letter G on the keyboard for group to group them together. And then I'm going to turn off this so I don't have that, it's time to regenerate that image every time, because that toolpath was checked. But now I'm going to select the entire scene first, and then my group, hold the shift key down, group last. Clear outside the boundary. The boundary is the last item in the selection, and all goes well, it should remove everything that's inside that simulated frame and the space in between. Now it's going to take a minute. This is a lot of vectors for it to redraw. So your computer, depending on its processing and all that stuff, this at this stage right here, it could be a minute, right? It's got to figure out what vectors are outside of the selected group. It's got to figure out how to redraw those vectors, eliminating what's in between, outside of that group, and then redraw and reclose off the vectors and, close them up and everything. So right now, what it's doing at the bottom of the screen, it says collecting vector and component data, right? So it's grabbing this and all that grass and everything, all those little specks and all, those are all individual vectors. I mean, there's literally, there's thousands of them, right? So it's got to take all of those. It's collecting all that information, all that data. And then it's got to figure out what's outside of the group that's selected last. It's got to eliminate that. And then it's got to properly close off all those vectors that it just cut. And This could be one of those processes, on your computer that could take minutes, hours. I'm not going to say days, but it's going to take a moment. Now, with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second. And I'm refreshing it, basically. Stop screen sharing. So that I'm here. And I want to, let me close a few things. I want to close my settings. The Google Chrome. Remind me, let's reshare that screen again. Remind me to save right when this is done. I should have hit save before doing this. Let me screen share again. Share the entire screen. This is one of those times in a project where there's a lot of stuff it's trying to figure out, a lot of stuff it's doing. And if it was ever going to crash, if Vectric or anything was ever going to crash, it would be now, right? It would be during this process. If I go clicking on something or whatever, it has that potential crashing. Now, this is the perfect time. If y'all have any questions, this is a great time to ask those questions while it's calculating that data. It's calculating, and it's gonna redraw. It's got to redraw all those vectors. Now, I could have probably helped it out, right? I could have probably went in there and eliminated some of that grass or something, and stuff like that. I didn't. You do not want to do it one panel at a time, right? If I would have selected just one panel and said, hey, clear out everything outside of this vector, I would have gotten rid of the whole drawing. I need it to know that this group, these three panels are as a group, that's the boundary, and anything outside of that boundary, that's what we're getting rid of. If I only did one at a time, it would get rid of everything, and then I would have to. Now, that being said, I could have copied the entire scene onto 3 different layers, and I could have taken the left boundary and put it on one layer, the middle boundary on the other layer, and the third boundary on the right on the other layer, and I could have done it one at a time, right? That way, when it eliminates this, the scene is still on the other 2 layers, right? Then I could have done the middle one, and I could have done that. Now, that might have been a way that could have done it to be less stress on the system, less taxing and stuff on the system. Don't know. But right now it's collecting that vector and component data. At this point, it's my computer is thinking. All right. So it might be a minute. So now would be a perfect time. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about this. If you have questions or anything, now would be a great time to ask those questions. And, let me see what we have here. Yeah, I didn't have anybody. Let me see. Is yeah. But yeah, Roger S, Keith, Linda, good to see you. Rob, Ron Bishop, good to see you, Ron. Let's see here. David Heineke, thanks for popping in. I was late getting the vector, late getting the the link out, right? So people could plan properly for today and all that stuff. Because literally, I what am I trying to say? Literally, could not find where, when I created the class, I couldn't find it. I could not find it where it was actually putting the link and putting the class. It wasn't even showing up, which was weird because last Thursday, and Ron, I'll answer your question here. It's great. The shop's doing great. Last Thursday, like the Thursday class, the tiling job class, as soon as I set it up, I popped over to my studio and YouTube. It was right there. I was able to copy the description and the link, share it, all that stuff, right? I mean, it was just flawless, wonderful. But this one, I was like, where in the world is that link? And I finally found it 5 minutes before 8 o'clock. Ron, how's the shop coming? Shop's coming great. So just so y'all know, I got all the machines moved over. Just got them all laid out, and there's a couple of things that could not fit in my shop. I have a double miter saw for doing frames. So I have it's called a Pistoria double miter saw that wasn't able to fit in the shop. Couldn't find any room for it. So I had to move it back over to the little building. I have a big panel saw, panel saw for like breaking down 4x8 sheets and things like that. With the 3 CNCs, one of them isn't mine. I have just the 2, and then there's a 4x8 that's getting built. It's built, but there's no control box, so we're redoing brand new control box. With that in there, the panel, it's kind of on the wall or near the back wall where that panel saw would have been, because I need, if I'm going to be trying to slide 4x8 sheets in the panel saw to break them down, I need room, right? That kind of thing. And I would prefer to do all the material handling at the entrance. My shop only has one entrance. There's no windows. There's no side doors. I wanted all the walls completely closed off except for the front, because I didn't want any window space or dead space, because I want cabinets and shelves and racks and all that stuff when it's all gets built up. And pretty soon we're going to be doing a series in the public classes. We're going to be doing a series of cabinet builds and miter saw station builds and things like that, because I need to build a new miter saw station. I've got a radial arm saw, which is going to be built into the panel, the miter saw station. So it's going to be kind of a dual purpose bench and all that stuff. But storage, all my not dressers, but all my cabinets and drawers and all that stuff, that's all going to, I've got to design and build those projects, right? So we're going to be kind of building out in the shop. But anyway, I got the machine. I got the panel saw moved back over, and then I don't have dust collection hooked up yet. I got my dust collector there, but I don't have dust collection hooked up yet. I got the 2440, my digital wood carver 2440 set up. I got the vacuum pump. I have a black box vacuum for vacuum hold down set up for that. I've got a little mini carver, 1824 mini carver as well. And I've got a little pump, a little bit of vacuum pump for that. And I'm going to be making vacuum pods. So one of our projects is going to be making a plenum and vacuum pods for a little vacuum for that little table, 18 by 24 cutting area. My 4x4, I've got the computer hooked up and the control box. I got power run to it and everything. Right now, the only lights that are in the shop are just studio lights, like the studio lights that are here. That's all I have, and it's enough. It's lighting up the shop and everything. I've got 4 cameras in the shop. I've only got 2 of the 4 set up. One's pointing at the 2440, one at the 4x4. So when we're doing live out there, and And that's it. Now let's see what's going on, because it shouldn't take this long on this computer. Let's figure out what's happening here. I know there's a lot of vectors, but it shouldn't take this long. But anyway, the shop is coming well. I literally, if all I would have had to do, I don't have internet fully out there yet, but I have Wi-Fi, and it's a metal building, so Wi-Fi is a little tricky, but I have a hotspot and stuff like that. I could have literally have streamed tonight from the shop if I wanted to, but with this new setup for Restream, I'm not using the StreamYard anymore. You Restream. I need to get, now that I know what I'm dealing with and where to find links and all that, now I can do that on my other computer out there too. Because that computer out there that I'm working on, it has good streaming speeds and all that stuff as well. I just got called today. My Cox internet is great. I'm getting, now with this new computer, I'm getting serious streaming speeds, really, really good. But they just literally just buried fiber optics right across my front property. The whole street and everything. And so the company who owns the fiber optics line reached out to me today, offered me a special if I wanted to hook up to it, 10 gigs of speed. I don't know what, I'm not but that's supposed to be fast, right? 10 gigabytes of speed versus right now I'm 1 gig, right? 1 gig of speed for Cox. So 9 more gigs, right? If I went with that, fiber optics. The only thing that I'm not, and what are they called? What are they called? Stream 3? I don't know what they're called. But anyway, so it's a young company out of Daytona Beach, Volusia County. It's only 3 years old. I've been with Cox for 30 years. My account with Cox has been 30 years. So there was really nothing about this company screaming, switch over to me, switch over to me, switch over to me, right? To give up my relationship with Cox for my internet to this company, right? And I told him flat, I said, there's nothing, you're new. There's nothing, some of the reviews online were not good. Some of them were negative and stuff like that and all, but I take that with a grain of salt, but I still take it into consideration. There's nothing with your company showing me or stating that there's going to be some longevity, that you're going to be around for a while. I mean, you're brand new and all that stuff. The representative that called me was fine, but the one that actually came to the door last week, little door-to-door salesman, I do sales with Digital Woodcarver every day. And the guy, I'm sorry, he just didn't have his crap together. He was all over the place, and it really did not instill a vote of confidence for me to say, yeah, man, right on the fly, you come knock on my door and you tell me all these great deals and all that stuff, I'll jump on it right now. It was like red flags, he was just stumbling, and it could have been nervous, of course, you're meeting strangers talking up on that, but I don't know. So if I told them today on the phone and say, hey, listen, if I hook up to my office here, I want it out to the building too. And so I'm not doing Wi-Fi. I want hard lines out there. So what they're going to do is they're going to send out an assessment crew to see what all equipment I would need and then what they'd have to do to run out to the building. And if their price is right, and they could really kind of let me know that they're going to be around, I don't know. I wish Cox would do I wish they would do fiber optics, because 10 gig versus 1 gig, I mean, shoot, that's like blazing. That's like versus what I have right now, because what I have right now is fast. All right, so let's find out what's going on here. It's not, it's kind of like it's stuck in animation. So I'm going to hit, and it's because of all the vectors, right? I know that, but it's still, I mean, we've been talking for 11 minutes now. in 11 minutes 45 seconds, that little spiel right there. And let me get Ron's coming off the screen. It should be done collecting its data by now. So what I'm going to do is take a chance. Nervous to take a chance. I'm going to hit stop. Now, this would have been one of those situations if I wasn't in the middle of a live stream. I would have just, hell, I'd have go and made something to eat, or, you know, went and watched TV or something until it was done processing its own little thoughts. But I need it to be a little bit faster. So what I want to do is I want to see if I can give me just a second. Oh. All right, so I hit the stop, and we'll see how long it takes to stop the process, and then we'll reevaluate this. What I'll do is I'll hit save. I'm actually going to shut down Vectric Aspire and restart it just in case there's something glitchy, right? I don't know. But I got to wait for it to say stop, say collecting vector and component data. And anyway, this would have been one of those ones I would have went and did something else while it was processing, right? And everything. But let me see here real quick. Did I take pictures of my inside of my shop yet? Give me a second. Let me see. No, I didn't. I took lots of pictures of the dog, but nothing there yet. All right, so now let me just real quick stop screen sharing for just a minute. Just for a moment. And there's nothing open that would slow down my processes. It's a lot of vectors. So give me just a second. We're going to reshare so you can see what's going on, but lots of vectors. Entire screen. All right. Now, while let that stop, because I did hit the X on it. Let that stop. We'll get it. We'll figure out and see what will be a good way to break this up. And I think I'm going to do what I just said is copy and paste these in when it stops and lets me work with it again. Set up 3 layers. And then I'm going to kind of manually break this up and stuff and see if we can get it to see if we can get it to speed up a little bit more. I got to wait for it to stop the process. But while that's going on, while that's processing, what I want to do is I want to come back to here and go back to Galaxy. On that image generator. Now I also have what's called an illustration generator, right? And with the illustration generator, it's more kind of a cartoonish and stuff, and that's not what I wanted. I really wanted that image generator, but I really got when I'm choosing this, DALL-E and Flux. DALL-E and Flux are really good. Let's see here. Updated Pro version, enhanced capabilities. They're really good. Ideogram is great. Nothing wrong with it. That's what I was using. That's the model that I was using. Artistic. Not realistic, more artistic. And I want to try with DALL-E. So if I come up here and I choose DALL-E as the model, DALL-E, I'm going to, I don't think I saved that description. So I just really want to quickly large buck deer standing in a field of tall grass next to a body. This time I am going to use the word body of water. Turn body of water. Black and white. Punctuation is everything. Black and white graphic. High detail line art. High resolution. So we're going to let DALL-E see what DALL-E creates. Let's go back to Vectric. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, I locked it up. This is why you save, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you save. Save, save, save. I don't know why they have a stop button if it doesn't stop. Now, if I happen to go to the task manager on this, Spire has, it's only got one processor going. If I close the task, then it's going to close the whole thing. And I cannot recall at what stage. Son of a gun. I can't recall what stage that I saved it at. Like if I canceled this out and reopened it, where am I at? Am I at the deer scene? Do I have the frames in there? When did I save? That's what I can't remember. And so it is, but it is locked up. I'm going to look before I close out anything. I want to look and see where I'm at. So I'm at that where I saved was here. with only one of the frames, right? So the what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this to a new layer. I'm going to copy it again to a third layer. Over here, I'm going to eliminate on layer 1, the one that I'm on. I'm going to eliminate anything that's outside that could, that's that's outside of this drawing that could, cause it to just take forever, right? Anything that's outside of that rectangle there. Okay. Now, if you remember when I said back then, this was 1/3 of that without this is an even 1/3 without the offsets and all that, right? That's fine. I'm going to use that to my advantage. So I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to drag a copy here and here, right? And I'm going to create 3 different scenes at this full size before the offsets and all that. So I got rid of all that. So now what I'm going to do is this first boundary, I'm going to select all this stuff that's left here. And I don't really need to select anything that's in here. Like that's all these inside vectors and all that stuff. All I really need to do is select the vectors that are outside of the boundary, right? So outside of this line. And anything crossing over this line, I don't need it to deal with all these inside vectors. They can stay right where they are. So this guy, I'll leave him unselected for now. So I'm going to select all of that stuff right there, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to tell it to trim and clear everything outside of that boundary, this first rectangle, what I selected last. And by doing just that one, you see how the blue line is moving across the screen. My name's in the way right now, but you see how fast that was, right? That's where we should be, right? So that's one rough drawing, okay? And it's closed off the vectors and everything to that layer. Okay, that's good. This guy here, he can move back to there. Okay, so now that's done. Right, so now I'm going to come in here to layer 2. Well, first of all, layer 1 real quick. I'm going to take this vector, move that to layer 3. Take this vector in the middle, move that to layer 2. All right. Now I'm going to turn off that and come here. All right. Now, once again, anything, I'm going to kind of help it out. This guy, you know, he would be moved over here, right? So anything outside of the middle area. So I'm going to come in here and select any vector that's outside of this line here, and I'm going to hit delete, right? If it doesn't have to deal with it or process it, that crosses over, that crosses over. All right, if I don't have to deal with it, then it'll be easier, right? So when I select all of this, and I come in and select this middle one, last, clear outside that boundary, should go a little faster. And again, I didn't need to have all that little grass inside selected. I could have deselected that. Anything that wasn't crossing over this line, all the fur right here, I could have deselected that to help speed things up, because I'm a goober and I didn't. I don't know if this guy is still like locked in animation there, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I should have not. So I should have gotten rid of some of that grass. All those little vectors there. That's what's taking up the. That's what the software's trying to figure out. What's inside, what's outside, what's this, what's that, and that's what's causing it to be so long. And you just gotta. It's a game you gotta play. You know, it's a game you gotta play. We're playing this game. We're playing it to get everything that we want. And I still didn't hit save. Still didn't hit save. Now what have I done? I've gone and locked up 2 of them now. So far, this computer's no, I'm just kidding. It's not the computer. It's there's a lot of process happening right now. All those darn little grass blades in the middle. I should have deselected those, not deleted them. We're keeping those. We're trying to. It's the panel there. Shoulda deselected those. All the fur right in here, should have deselected that, because it wasn't, nothing that's crossing over that line needed to be selected, and nothing that's not crossing over that line needed to be selected. And silly me, I didn't deselect those things. And so I don't know why. Vectric, I don't know if you're paying attention or not, but why do you have a stop button that doesn't stop the process? I mean, it should stop immediately. It should say, hey, cancel everything. It shouldn't have to back step or any of that stuff. It should stop. Vectric, fix your stop button. Love you guys, but I have, ladies, it's 10:32. We got third time's a charm, right? Keith says, yeah, third time is a charm. I don't know why this one's, still locked up, but we're gonna, it's like learning from your mistakes as you go. So all I'm doing is right clicking on the icon at the bottom and telling it to reopen the file, right? And of course, it's only going to reopen to where I was saved last. So at this stage, it where it is, it's going to be the scene without the 3 boundaries and without the 3 layers that I created, right? So oh, Vectric spy. Okay. All right. Now that I know the game plan, now that we know the game plan, here's what we're going to do. Big deep breath. So we can get through this. We're going to kill it in task. Okay. And this one. All right. Okay. So now here, I know the plan. Got rid of the other 2 that are, covering the process. We're going to hit, we're going to come over here and turn off the toolpaths. Got a plan. We're going to take these 3 vectors right here. Well, first of all, let me copy this over. One there. One there. Going to take the entire scene and turn off those 2 vectors. So just the scene in this first one, that's already scene 1. So actually we want the scene and the second one. So we're going to copy that to a new layer. We'll call that layer 2. Turn off the visibility and not making it active. We're going to select it again. Turn this one off and this one off. Copy those to a new layer, layer 3. Turn that off and that off. So now I should have layer 1, 2, and 3. So this here, once again, layer 1. Let's do this. Let's do it. All right, we're going to come in here and eliminate anything that's not outside of this vector. This one here, we're going to move that over. We're creating this first panel here, just the full size panel, not the undersized and all that. We're just getting rid of all these vectors that just take forever. Okay. We have this boundary. So everything here can go away. That's going to stay. Anything, hold the shift key. Anything that's not touching on the inside of that boundary. So just drawing, I'm literally drawing right straight down that line, right straight over. Anything that's pink, hit delete. All right, now that I've done that, I can select this entire thing, hold down the shift key and select this. And after I do this, I'm going to hit save. So we're going to go, matter of fact, I'm going to go save right now, file save at this point, because I've got those 3 layers, right? Save. Let's do that again, file save. Okay, now trim. Clear everything outside the boundary. That should get rid of everything. And I did it again on the grass and stuff. Laney, come on now. You know better than that, boy. Dadgummit. Third time was a charm, Keith, but I jumped ahead. I was getting excited. Dadgummit. All this stuff right in here I didn't need selected. This is not typical. I don't know why it's I mean, there's a lot of vectors, of course, but I don't know if my system has to do a restart. I don't know. I just don't know. By the way, real quick, while that's coming back, this right here, both of these, that one right there, that bad boy, that would be a great one. So I'm actually going to download that one. That one's not bad either, but that one's nice. It's black. That one would carve. That one would carve really nice as a sketch carve. That would carve really well. Well, geez Louise. We are not. I don't think we're going to get through this. What? What? All right, let's do this again. Now I save. That's why, see there? Save was important. Save was important. All right, now I'm going to select this again. And I'm going to see, I don't want to delete nothing. I'm not deleting anything, but I want to only select what's crossing over this boundary. None of this stuff in here matters. It's only the things that are crossing over this boundary. So this vector, this vector, this, and by the way, let me turn this vector off right now. That one's not even crossing over. This one's crossing over. These 4 crossing over. This is crossing over. That one is. That's crossing over. That is. Even on the smallest crossover, right? This one's crossing over. Going right down the line of my rectangle. All right. So now, that's it. All this other vectors and stuff I don't need. I don't need them. So we're going to select this. Trim. Clear outside the boundary. clear. At this point, blue line should move across and it should do it fast. There we go. Now, I missed one. And these didn't clear. That's okay. But this one, select this. Select that boundary. Clear. There we go. All right. Now, anything outside of this, delete. Only up to that boundary. That one, I'm actually going to just get rid of the whole thing. I'm not going to worry. I'm not stressing over little stuff. All right. That is panel 1 right now. That's it. Okay. All right. Well, the main big panel. We haven't done the trim and all that stuff. All right. That's it. Panel 1 done. Layer 1 done. Turn that off. Layer 2. Make sure it's active. Come in here and select everything that you can from left to right. Don't draw right to left. Hold down your mouse and draw left to right. Get rid of, hit delete. This guy, remember, he's going to get deleted. He's not part of that. He's in the other scene. Everything over here, draw from left to right. Delete. Now, when we come over here, when you're drawing from left to right, don't cross over your border, right? When you're going from left to right, stay as close as you can to that inside, but don't cross over. All right? Get rid of anything. Stay close. Get rid of anything. Now, on this one, when we, first of all, right now, I'm hitting save. File, save. Save. Because panel 1 done. Layer 1's done. We're not playing this game no more. We got to move on. It's 10:44. I want to finish this at 11 o'clock. All right. Middle panel. Now we're going to select all of this. Bear with me. We're going to select everything that's crossing over. All right, don't select your panel yet, but hold down your shift key and click on everything that's going over the line. That's not going over the line. Okay. All right, and anything that's, see, that's all one big vector, so we got to have that selected. And again, everything that's crossing over the line, so all this stuff here, okay? It's important. Get it. All right, everything that's crossing over the line. Okay, that's it. Select that line last. Clear. Now again, at this point, it should be fairly fast. Okay? Now we have layer 2 done. But there's still some things. And again, hold down your left mouse button and draw. And select everything that's out here that, now that didn't clean up. There's a few things, let's get rid of the things that aren't important. This. Okay. We got a few little stragglers. So this one and that one, we're going to select. That one we're going to select. I know it's little stuff, but those get deleted. We'll delete that. This one right here is kind of a little significant one, and this one right here. And that one. Okay, come out here and look. Out here. That's all trash. Anything outside the line is trash. All right, one more time. Those I'm not even gonna. I'll do it, but they're not gonna. I'm not gonna stress over little crap. All right, one more time. Select the vector. Last, clear, and it should do those. Perfect. Now, anything. First of all, file save. Save at this stage. All right, now anything that's left straggling, get rid of it. Anything that's left straggling, get rid of it, right? That's when I say straggling, anything outside of that boundary, gone. Gone. Get rid of it. Okay. Looks fairly clean. Good. That's layer 2. That's the start, layer 2. Turn that off. Layer 3. Make sure it's active. Again, I'm going to hit save just because of all the stuff we dealt with. We're going to select all the vectors. Stick with me, ladies and gentlemen. We're making it through. We're making it through. Getting rid of, well, again, this is my boundary over here. We're doing this third panel. So everything over here that's loose, loosey-goosey, gonna delete, right? Anything that's kind of loose, that's not, part of my line, anything that's not like a continuous vector that crosses over the line. All right, now here, we're gonna select this vector, right? Because it goes all the way around to there. We're going to hold down the shift key. We're going to select this vector because it crosses over. Got a few little ones right there. Right? Come on down. We got this and this. That's not that one. Sorry. That's all part of that vector. Come on up. Good. Good. Okay. Now, that's it. We got this one. That crosses over, right? So that crosses over this vector. Everything else doesn't. It's inside of it. So select this last, this boundary last. Again, just because I'm going to hit save. And then we're going to trim. Clearing outside the boundary. The boundary is that last item. It should be fairly fast. All right. Yes. Right, Keith. I agree. Should be reported to Vectric. And I'll probably give them this video and let them determine what the deal is and our workaround and all that stuff, and they can watch it and figure it out. All right. So now come in here, get rid of any stragglers, right? Just that little straggler. And that's a square vector. I'm actually going to get rid of that. But anyway, I'm not going to deal with the square vectors right now. I'm just getting any stragglers, anything that's not inside this. So now, got my 3 panels divided, right? Okay, that's the full size panels, not the offsets and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Not with my trim vectors, but I got a majority of the crap done, right? Okay, so now save. Okay, I'll save. Now I'm going to work my work. So size, select object size. First panel, I'm going to left anchor, unlink the X and Y, and I'm going to subtract a 1/16 of an inch. Minus 0.0625 equals, and I'm going to go ahead and move that over. Okay. Second one, this one's going to be from the middle, 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 on each side, minus 0.125 equals. Click apply. This one, the right side, I'm going to subtract a 1/16, 0.0625 equals. Click apply. Now, again, I'm going to hit save. We're going to just save every 5 seconds. Save. All right, now I'm going to select these 3 vectors and I'm going to offset them inward to make my frame. And then I'm going to offset them inward again to create my trim boundary, because we've got to trim again, right? So, but this time we actually have individual panels that we can trim to. We're not trimming the whole thing. So once again, offset inward. First one's going to be 3/8. That's how big I want my frame, 0.375. Offset. Okay. Then while they're selected, I'm going to offset those in another 0.02. Offset. Now I'm going to group those while they're selected. I'm going to hit G on the keyboard, or I could just come over here and hit group, right? To group them. That's going to be my trim boundary. But now I don't necessarily have to trim all this at once. I don't need these grouped because I have 3 individual panels, right? Right. So I'm actually going to ungroup those, because now I can come in here and I can take my trim boundary, for this one, and I can move it to layer 1. My trim boundary, move that to layer 2. My trim boundary, move that to layer 3. It's already on layer 3. Okay. All right, good. Now I'm going to come in here and we're going to work one layer at a time. Layer 1. So with layer 1, again, I only need what's crossing over the line. File, save, right? I'm going to just hit save just to kind of get this, moving along. All right, file, save. We're going to come over here and we're going to select only what's crossing over the line. Now this is my trim line right here. So it's anything that's crossing over that trim line. Okay. This is my trim line that it's that vector. It's those vectors there. Coming right down the list, just anything that's crossing over it, right? Just anything that's crossing over it. Look over here. Everything is okay there. Everything is okay there. Everything is good there. Okay. Now, select that boundary. That's my trim boundary. Last, trim, clearing outside of that boundary. Wait for it. Done. Okay. Close this. Hit save. Now we got to clean up stragglers. At this point on the stragglers here, these are little trash, right? I consider them trash. Get rid of them. Anything that's outside of this boundary, get rid of it. Anything that's outside of that line, that's all trash. Okay. All right. So that's it. That's panel 1 right there. Done. 100% done. Panel 1 is done, ready to carve. All right. File, save. Now at this point on panel 1, it the trim boundary doesn't need to be in the project anymore. So like, you know, when I'm here and everything, that trim boundary right there, it's gone. It needs to go away. Okay. Because otherwise we'll get issues with our tool pass and all that stuff. So at this point, this line I've already cleaned up, done all that stuff. Delete, gone. Okay. It doesn't need to be there. All right. So that's panel 1. Turn that layer off. Layer 2. Layer 2, make sure it's active. This is my trim boundary. That's that little offset. Oh, I'm having chest pains, guys. My goodness gracious. Anyway, no, I'm not dying. Don't worry. All right. So hold down. Don't select that boundary until last. So select the vector. Anything that's crossing over this line, right? So come on down. That's crossing over. Those two are crossing over. That's crossing over. Get it all. Anything that's crossing over. And I am having chest pains. Ooh. Too much soda. All right. Okay, so that side is clean. This side crossing over, right? So come on up the list. If it's crossing over the line, select it. And wouldn't that be something? After all this, okay. All right. Once again, all the vectors are selected that need to be selected. Select the boundary last and trim, clearing outside that boundary. Okay. Now, once that's done, save. File save. Now, anything that's outside of that is trash, right? So anything that's outside of this line is trash. Select it and get rid of it. All these little specks. Anything that did not trim with that line and it's still left behind, it's insignificant at this point. Come over to the right side, do the same thing. We're looking at this inside line right here. Anything that's not, that's outside of this inside line right here, that's trash. And if it didn't trim, you have a choice. You can go back and retrim and all that. But again, these are so small, I'm not even dealing with it. All right, so that's our middle panel. Done. I mean, that's done. It's ready for tool pathing. Again, we don't need the trim boundary once it's all cleaned up and everything. So we can delete it. We can get it out of there. Don't need it. All right, now layer 3. We're going to hit save. File, save. All right, this one I'm going to go ahead and move over to layer 1. This one I'm going to move over to layer 2. That's my kind of my frames. All right, here's what I'm dealing with. Layer 3. Once again, we're going to select just what's crossing. This is our boundary, this inside vector right here, right? That's that 20 thousandths of an inch boundary. Don't select it yet. All right, so anything that's crossing over that line gets pink. Anything that's not crossing over that line doesn't. Okay. Come on down. Come on down. That's outside of the line. This is the line I'm focusing on, the most inside one. Come over here to this side. All is right with the world. Everything is done there. So now I can select this boundary last. Trim. Okay. Once it's done, save. We're done now. Save. Beautiful. Lord. All right, let's come over here. That took a long time to get to that result. Definitely something that Vectric needs to take a hard look at and see what the deal is. All right. Anything outside that line. Now, on here, it's the inside line, right? Don't delete the outside line. That's my frame, right? It's just already on its layer, right? So it's the inside line. So once again, we're looking to see if there's anything, outside of that inside line. So anything that's outside of that inside line, say that 100 times real fast, is trash. Okay, we're good. Now that most inside line, once we're all cleaned up, goes away. It's our trim boundary. We don't need it no more. All right, done. Hit save. We are now ready to toolpath our 3 cutouts and panels and all. All right, let's move over to the toolpath side of the software. Let's turn all 3 on, and we should see this overview as if it's hanging on the wall, right? So we're literally, our bit's cutting on the outside here. It's cutting here between these lines. So this is panel 1, the frame and everything. Panel 2, panel 3. Okay. So there's the 3 panels. All right. Now, when it comes to the carving, we're carving this as a whole. Yes, layer 2 is active. We are carving this as a whole. Then we're doing our profile cutouts. Okay. Now, if you wanted this raised versus V carved in, if you wanted it reversed and raised and all, you could kind of have this inside boundary selected while you're doing your toolpath and all. We'll look at that and see how it looks, but that's not what I calculated it for this first time around. So we're only selecting the vectors. All right. So we're going to have 3 V-carve toolpaths, panel 1, 2, and 3. Well, technically 1, because this is going to be one big glue up. Now, if I had 3 separate glue ups and I was carving 3 separate panels because of the size of my CNC, then that's different. But I'm going to do this all as one. So we're selecting all the design here, none of the borders. Okay, just the design, none of the borders. And we're going to do a V-carve toolpath. 0 start depth, 1/8 inch flat depth, 60-degree V-bit, 1/4 inch end mill as a raster cut. This is going to be my scene V-carve. Calculate. All right, now this is where I'm actually going to, I'm going to go to the vector validator, see what the issues are, clean it up at this point, right? So go to the vector validator real quick. V-carve mode, search selected. Let's see what we're dealing with. It's most likely going to be these figure 8s. So if we zoom in, we got lines that are literally, they're lines, they're closed vectors, but they're like one on top of each other. And if we come in and zoom, we have what I call these figure 8s, right? So that's those issues, these figure 8s and everything. So I have, because of those figure 8s and everything, we have 129 different issues. So all I'm going to do is go through over and hit delete. I'm going to my little problem areas, delete, all these little boxes right here. I'm simply going to move the up arrow and pull that up so they're not overlapping anymore right there. Right here, figure 8, delete, That one's done. This one, this figure 8, all those square vectors right there can go away. And so we would go through, these are figure 8s. Delete, delete. And put your mouse where the arrows are. Put your mouse where the boxes are. If you got a roller wheel on the mouse, it's going to roll right where to the point is. So zoom in, put your mouse there on those boxes and roll that wheel in. Zoom into it, hit delete, select and hit delete, roll out. Put your mouse on it, roll in, select, hit delete, roll out. I'm actually going to get that one and that one too. Roll out. Come on down here. Delete. Looking through. That one's done. This one. Delete. Up here on the back. Oops. Those figure 8s. Now, I'm going to get through this. I'm not going to clean them all up. Just know that's what I would do before I go through. But just put your mouse where it is. Zoom in, delete, that kind of thing, right? Don't try to select. Don't be out here trying to select stuff and all. Get your mouse on it. Zoom in and delete. All these square pixels and all is all trash, right? All those square pixels are trash. Square pixels are trash. Okay, so I could literally go in and spend a long time cleaning up all the square pixels and everything, even though they're not part of my problem. Now, just with that, let me get this one. Okay, just with that, if I come in here and select this again, vector validated, I've taken that 129 and that 90 down to, right, there's still a few, but I'm not going to worry about them right now. I know what they are. I'll deal with them later. So right now we're going to go with the whole scene. We're going to calculate. None of those figure 8s and all are going to affect the result of the carve. So I'm going to hit continue anyway. Okay. Now I do have 7 open vectors that are being ignored. I'll let the software ignore them. I'll go and select those and delete them later. So let it calculate the toolpath. I'm going to click OK. Let it calculate the toolpath. I'll go clean those up later. All right. Preview the visible toolpath. Okay. All right. So now you can see kind of where we're heading at, right? There's those little dividers, right? You know, where there's nothing there. Right. Okay. All right. Let's go back here. Only vectors that we need to select at this point are the outside ones. Profile toolpath. Cutting through the material. Z equals 0.75, right? 1/4 inch end mill on the outside of the line. I'm going to do a climb cut, not a conventional. At this point, depends on how you're holding your material down. Do I need to put tabs in there or not? I'm not going to, for visual purposes, I'm not going to add tabs. But add tabs if you need to. Those will just get sanded and trimmed and all that stuff. And so we take this, and that's our profile cutout. Calculate. All right, now notice right here, I had it set for an 1/8 inch bit, but I chose a 1/4 inch bit. So notice it didn't create the middle lines because I'm a goofball. Go in here, open it back up, change that router bit from a 1/4 inch to an 1/8 inch. I did that, remember, to minimize my curve. All right. 1/8 inch end mill, vectors are selected. Let's go to the 2D view, make sure they are selected. All right. Calculate. Now, if it's not if the bit's not going down in there, we've got to figure out why. So let's go in here real quick and measure horizontal from here to here, 0.125. needs to be just slightly bigger than 0.125. Okay, no problem. I'll fix that in just a second. Let's measure this one. 0.125. All right, so here's how I'm going to fix that. I'm just going to take the middle one, just the middle one, and I'm only going to offset it inward a few thousandths of an inch that you'll never even notice, right? Offset inward 0.02 is good enough for me. Create square corners, delete the original, offset. Now, going to select the 3 vectors. Calculate. Now it'll go down and cut between those, right? Preview the visible toolpath. Okay, so now there's our 3 individual panels. Now, what I was saying, this is wall art, right? This is just those 3 panels, okay? We do not have the definition of the inside frame, those inside vectors, because nothing is raised, right? Nothing's raised. We didn't remove all the material in the background and create kind of a reversed image. This is just a carve, and we have that boundary and everything. Now, at this point, if I want the same carving, but the illusion of it raised, here's exactly how I would do that. Not the illusion of it raised, but carved just like this, but with the frame, right? Here's exactly how I would do that. The inside vectors would be pocketed. I know, buddy, we're about to go outside. We're going to go start depth of 0, cut depth. We're going to go down 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to use a 1/4 and 1/8 inch end mill is fine. I'm also going to use a 1/2 inch end mill. I'm going to pocket the crap out of this. Let's see here, 1/2 inch end mill. And okay, on this, it's going to do it in one pass. This one, I'm going to edit the passes because it's just going to clean up where the big bit can't fit. And I can do that in one pass because all the majority is going to be gone. Same thing with the 1/8 inch end mill. All that material is going to be gone. So I can do this in one pass. There's no sense in doing it in 3. I'm going to calculate this and I'm going to create this pocket. All right, so let's reset the image and let's preview the visible toolpath. Now, also raster cut, I'll cut with the grain instead of offset around and around. So what now I've just done is I've created the recess on these frames, okay, on the inside here. Okay, created that recess. Now, on my 3 design scenes, right, they're going to start at 1/8 of an inch and cut 1/8 of an inch, right? So we're going to, give me just a second here. Not this one. Turn that off. This one, it's going to start at 1/8 of an inch and cut 1/8 of an inch, just like I said, where it's going to be the whole scene, not just the one. Calculate, continue. Got those 7 open vectors that we still have to delete. That's fine. All right, let's go back to material color here. Now on this one, I'm going to add a toolpath color of black to that one and black to that one. That way, when I preview the visible toolpath, it doesn't fill in the pocket that I just created with black, right? All right, now let's do the profile cutout. Okay, so now we have the 3 frames. Okay. All right. Now the black, the router bit, because of that 20 thousandths of an inch, is carving into this area a little bit right here. If you don't want that, create your offset a little bit bigger. It's, fine. We would probably, on the toolpath, on the pocket cut, I'll have it overcut slightly. So how we would fix that is on the pocket cut, I'll have it overcut, which is an allowance offset. Let's go a 32nd of an inch. Let me change this to raster right now. Calculate. Preview that visible toolpath. Oh, shoot. Let me move this up at the top of the list. Move that one up. That one. And that one. This gets deleted. That's trash. Delete this. And delete this. And then scene and profile. Okay, so preview all toolpaths. Our pocket is cutting slightly larger than the slightly larger by a 32nd of an inch, going over the line slightly a little bit. So that way, when our V-carve cuts, it won't run into the sides, right? So you see that where our V-carve cuts, it doesn't cut into the sides. Wait for the V-bit. So the V-bit did cut into the side right there. So it's all right. This time we won't reset. I have a 3/8 inch frame, right? So we are cutting in. There's a few areas right there. So let's really quickly go back into here, and I'm going to change this. And it needs to, oh, I'm a goofball. It needs to be a negative number, not a positive number. Negative 0.03125, not a positive number. I had a positive number in there. So I made my offset smaller. Let's do that again. Preview the visible toolpath. Should, let's see. Let's see. Little bit more. So a little bit more. I'm actually going to go, instead of a 32nd, I'm going to go a 16th. 0.625. Now, how to eliminate that in the future is, number one, if I wasn't recessing down, I don't need to worry about it, right? But if I'm recessing down to create that illusion of a frame, then my offset, that 20 thousandths of an inch trim boundary, bring it in a little bit more, right? Let's preview the visible toolpath, see if that should clean up. We should see this. Clean up there. There we go. Okay. So that cleans up. And we would have a nice, depending on, what, depending on what, type of wood you got, could have a nice, wall art. I tend to see myself when I'm, gonna paint and everything, and I really want that contrast, then I want to make sure that I'm using something that really stands out. So I would work with, kind of a maple in that situation or whatever. But I mean, it's also the home decor. and all that stuff. All right, so that's it, ladies and gentlemen. It's 11:22. We are going to hit save one final time on here. This is our panels here, and that is that. Now, how long would it take to carve this based on my speeds and feeds? I'd have to look and see what I set them at, but depending on what machine it is. But right now, I probably have them estimated for my 2440, but let's go look at the time. 6 hours, right? About 6 hours and 36 minutes. So not too shabby. All right. So that's that. Now, one of the vectors here, possibly an open vector and everything, I would go back and I would go back and see if there's a vector missing for its hind legs. I can see the outline, but I believe the outline was more defined. And on some of the grass, there's some grass missing in that, scene. There's that line, right? So my question would be, is that one of the vectors that got ignored, right? Let me just say this real quick. Let's look at select all vectors, all open vectors. And it is. That's one of the vectors that got ignored. Okay. So that's why, because that vector was open, and did not close on itself, it didn't close. That's why that's why his back legs and all the grass and stuff is missing right here. So it's for some reason, I might have done it when I selected the boundaries. I might have accidentally deleted those vectors. There was, vectors there. Or when I was using my trim, it said refit, so it should have closed those off. So I possibly, so literally we'd have to go through and join with a straight line, because it is a straight line down, right? Join with a straight line, and we just go down and literally close the vectors. Join with a straight line, close it off. Now this one right here goes all the way around to here. And this one is joined with a straight line. So it literally encompasses all of these. So join with a straight line, and it shoots a straight line all the way down. Now, with that being said, that causes an offset, an overlap right here. No problem. We select node editing, and we pull those nodes back just a little bit. Get them off that line so there's no overlap. Now I'm going to come back in and ask it to reselect those open vectors. And this vector is joined with a straight line. Again, join with a straight line. That joins to here with a smooth curve. That one's a smooth curve. And then that as a whole joins with a straight line. That closes off. Again, I'm actually just going to bump this over. I'm not going to just bump it over. All right. Right click, select all open vectors. Now, right now, visually, I don't see where the pink is, but I just told it to select all open vectors. So if I hit zoom to selected object, it'll bring me in. So it's trash, right? Delete it. Right click, select all open vectors. None left. Good. That means if I go back to my scene and I include these vectors that were, that were open. Let me include them. All included. And calculate. Now I'm going to see the ass end of my deer. All right, so now we can see that hind end, right? So preview the visible tool, reset the preview and preview all toolpaths, and that ends our show for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Keith. You have a wonderful evening as well. We're going to just end on this preview, so we'll get it centered. Let it raster back and forth to do the 3 pocket cuts. I apologize for us taking so long with that freeze. I will forward this video over to Vectric and see if they want to know about it. All right, so we're going to come in and do that carving. Now we can see his leg, right? We can see his leg into the glass and all that. All right, there are our 3 panels. And all that's left to do is carve and paint them and hang on the wall, right? All right, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful evening. If you want this, holler in the comment section or in the Digital Woodcarver Spindle TV exclusive Facebook group, and I'll send this file to you because it is version 12 that I created in. If you don't have version 12, I'll send the vectors too, and then you can watch the video on creating the toolpaths. And it's just a pocket cut on the 3 inside vectors, an 1/8 inch deep, using whatever end mills you have to clear out that pocket. It's a V carve cut on the seam, the entire seam starting at that 1/8 inch, cutting another 1/8 of an inch. And then it's a profile cut, cutting it out all the way through the material on the outside vectors. All right, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for hanging out with me for 3 hours and 29 minutes. For those of you that did stick around, we'll catch you next week. And we'll also see you tomorrow if you pop in tomorrow night's class. See you, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you. Bye.